Wait, good morning. We were just ranting and raving off air, and I was just going to continue that after pressing the button because why would we change everything now?
Right.
So we got Chris here on audio, and obviously me and Jimmy. We're gonna do some AMA. I think Jen might join us in a little bit, which is awesome. I'm really starting to love these. We've got a channel set up in our Discord. Everybody can throw in AMA questions, and when they build up, we come here and we do an AMA, which is pretty fun. Is this the third one that we did?
Yeah, this is volume 3. So we're back for volume 3. They keep getting, I think, more short and detailed, which is good because it means that the content that we're putting out there in our white paper and all of our articles and stuff are being recepted well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. So we've got a couple of announcements. So maybe before we dive into the AMA stuff, we can give the update on where we are with the announcements and what's up and coming in the next couple weeks, really.
But we have stuff going on.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's things that are happening. I don't know. I haven't been really paying that much attention.
Right. All right. So April 4th is when we get to start our odds and ends auction. This is the first chance that the team that is building Uplift 2.0 that's launching the DAO. This is kind of our first chance to basically build up some runway. So it's really, really important for the entire project. So if you've been waiting to buy land, this is going to be a really good time. The main two reasons why I think people are going to be really, really excited about this, it's all going to be map-based auctions. There's so many people that have some land and want to build their empire, and they've noticed that the land next to them is in the Uplift Civic account, which is basically our sort of a pickup truck wax account, right? And we just haven't had those on sale, right? So you'll be able to basically bid on those and kind of expand your empire, right? You'll be able to connect pieces of land that you have, or just grab stuff up that's around that, and you're gonna be able to do that on a map-based auction. It's something that we tested out for the Chicken Ka auction. That worked really effing well. It was a lot of fun. People were buying up in different areas. I actually still have a bunch of land in I think it's the southeastern corner of Chicken Ka. I haven't done anything with it yet because I suck. But it was fun trying to get all the stuff as close together as humanly possible. So that's going to be available across basically all the worlds where we have leftover stuff. Just about, right? So the everything that's left over in Genesis, in Chicken Ka, if there is any, I can't remember if there is or if there isn't. And
not Chicken Ka, actually, because we want to chat with the CK7 before we do anything with their land, right? So
that makes sense, right?
Genesis, okay. Uplift, Londum, Gratitude, and then it's all the rails on Borvalis and Swineland.
Thank you. Yeah. So all that stuff. Good call with Chicken Ka. That makes tons of sense. I'm glad you're thinking about all the smarty pants stuff. And really, so again, you'll be able to expand your little estates or empire or whatever, however you want to think about that. And on the map-based stuff, which is going to be super fun. And so
I know I want a strip of rail on Borvalis. It'd be
right?
super cool to just have a tunnel that you could build. So as people travel, they go through 10-year plots and maybe set up a museum.
But you
I don't know if anyone's read Makers, but that idea of a museum where people upvote and downvote various exhibits as they go through on a cart, and then those exhibits that are upvoted are expanded on, and the ones that are downvoted go away.
You can upvote them with arrow shooting on the rail as you fly through.
Right?
Okay, now is that even a thing you could do?
No, somebody showed me how to do that.
Really?
There's a
I thought you were legit making that shit up. I thought this was another grocery coupon NFT thing.
No, we could seriously put up signs, and then punches or snowball throws or arrows at signs would be able to register, and we could have upvotes and downvotes as you go. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. So,
fun.
As Tuttle pointed out, it's kind of a really good opportunity because this is the first time that any Borvalis or Swineland rail or land really, but rail has went on sale to the general community. Before this, it was all only upgradable if you had those NFTs. So that's really exciting. First chance to actually pick something up there that isn't off the secondary market, that's direct from us.
Yeah, that's and there's that huge shop in CK2 that's on that strip of rail just south of it. I can't remember who built that, but it's amazeballs. just as a building, like as a cohesive building along the rail, is really cool. Anyway, so the other thing that is completely and totally new about this auction, and the next few sales that we do over the next 6 months, or 3 months, maybe, I can't remember exactly where we landed on that, is that we're going to be doing a couple different snapshots. One very likely at the end of April, and then another one shortly after that. And the number of land that you hold is going to dictate how many DAO tokens you get, right? And this is going to be for the new Uplift DAO. The DAO tokens are going to be on Ethereum. There's a lot of reasons why the DAO tokens are going to be on Ethereum, which we can get into if anybody wants us to. But the biggest part of that is we're going to be doing revenue sharing. So all the secondary market that we bring in from all the games, the NFT games that we're going to be developing in our platform, all of the land that gets traded back and forth, and our secondary market percentage on that. Again, this is in perpetuity, right? All the primary sales for every time we launch, on new chains all over the place. Anytime we launch new initiatives here on Wax, there's going to be revenue sharing attached to those DAO tokens, and we wanted to make sure that the people that were here and have been building this up over the course of the year with us, get a really significant share of that moving forward, right? So at the end of April, again, like all the land that you hold, we're going to be doing a snapshot, and you'll get your share DAO token, and then we'll be doing one more snapshot, in some months after this. Anyway, yeah, Tuttle, is there anything else you want to add on that?
Not really. For the DAO token for land holders, I believe it's 12% of the entire DAO that's being dropped based on a snapshot at the end of the month. So you can pick up land on secondary, or you can participate in the auction to get that land. Like, it doesn't matter where the land comes from, just have it in your wallet. And we'll have instructions on how to make sure you've got an ETH account registered. We've got a lot of clever solutions that we want to get organized there so that it's nice and straightforward for people to get that token into their wallets on ETH when it does come. Yeah, I think it's going to be super exciting. There is also DAO token available based on Upliftium burn, 3% at the same snapshot. But for the auction purposes, we're certainly focusing on getting the information out there about getting land. I'd also say that the auction prices are going to be starting just above floor for that template, with the Borvalis and Swineland rails being somewhat of an average of the floor price for rails on other plots or on other worlds. So really, this is a very reasonable price point to get in to land and to start building estates. I think it'll be a very exciting opportunity for people who've been previously sort of confined to one plot to spread out a little and breathe.
Right.
So yeah, very fun.
It's good. So yeah, that starts April 4th. Half the worlds are going to start that first day, and then 2 days after that, the rest of them are going to start. Do you remember what the order was for the start? I mean, people will figure it out, but
I think Uplift, Borvalis, and Swineland are the second batch, and the other ones are the first batch.
So like Genesis, Gratitude, London.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And they'll the auctions last for 7 days, so the entire event will last 9 days total, which is going to be it's going to be
epic. So the idea here is, because there's lots of land and the prices are reasonably low, like I would recommend get bids in on the plots that are around your properties, get bids in on some estates that you're looking for, and get them in early enough so that you've sort of staked your claim, and people will have the opportunity then to find other totally unmarked or unbid on plots during the first week. Like, don't wait till the last minute to get your bids in. I really don't think most people anticipate profit from buying and holding a plot hostage to somebody, because realistically, again, that person who is being held hostage would be better off just buying 6 plots in Gratitude side by side and doing that. So I don't think this is going to be as competitive as some people are maybe afraid of. I think the plots near spawn, rail plots in cool locations, there are some plots that are going to be extremely competitive, but I suggest people get their bids in early. Bids will show up on the map. It'll be a sort of dynamic evolving process, so it'll be very cool to see that go.
Totally aside, should we at some point, because we've got this sort of auction-based system, right? Could we set it up so that the maps recognized any auctions that were live and host auctions for everybody else to run auctions on their plots?
Absolutely. In fact, I think it is already set up to do that. So I think if you set up an auction, it'll show up on the map. I'll double check, but
so people could auction off their properties at the same time if they wanted to?
Yeah, let me check and see, because I believe when they did the tests of it, they just linked it to random auctions on Atomic. So I think it would be straightforward to have any auction that has our template show up on the map, and even have that a longer term thing.
Man, down the road, right? Once a month, we hold auction weekends or something like that.
Right. Well, and in theory, these overlays could be permanent if this is set up that way, and then any auctions
Right.
that are live will be there. But we could have some events where people are encouraged to
That's
concentratedly list.
That's smart. I think even tying the maps to secondary market. Anyway, so this is what our huddles are like, by the way. Huge shout out to Andre Abello. He said he's working on video and listing notifications for LAX. That's the LAX virtual lands that where you can list some stuff. It's kind of like shop lists. But he says you'll know when a cheap plot is for sale, so you can buy it before everyone else, and then add video to plot profiles. So that's amazing. Like between LAX virtual lands and Shoplist and the app that Frame Games is working on, like just the community building stuff.
That's exactly what we've been hoping for, and like to 100%. Me, this is an amazing sign. Like if people are willing to do this right now for the community, imagine how great it's going to be when the DAO can have votes to enable these people with budgets or rewards afterwards, and actually get these things developed closer to full time from the people who are most interested. It's extremely exciting. LAX Virtual Land, I'd say follow them on Twitter too. Like it's a great sales feed on Twitter for Uplift plots, and you can see them scroll by as they sell. I believe Andre and Smiley and Discord are also going to be working together to try to bring a bot for LAX Virtual Land into our Discord so that we could have a sales feed right in Discord, and then you can see plots sell. So yeah, we love Andre. Thank you so much for everything you've been doing for the community.
Yeah, and he's been here since the beginning doing some really cool stuff. So I'll drop the LAX Virtual Lands Twitter in the comments so you guys can follow it.
Yep. And Andre, we need to get you on the show for an update soon anyway. I want to do a blitz that is aggressive enough that like Jimmy is already tired. For good reason. But yeah, I mean, this is the first chance where we actually get to kind of go out and build back up, frankly. So I want to make sure that like, at least for me, I'm going to leave it all on the field. In 2 weeks, I'm probably going to need a nap for about 3 days. But what are you going to do?
Well, and there's some interesting parallels that tie all of this together, because as was mentioned, this will be the first chance for, you to get DAO tokens, bigger plots, which you've all been requesting. Involve your communities, right? Because like, let's face it, the metaverse, owners of DAO tokens, the better we do, the better you make out. And that also gives you the option, as Chris said, when the DAO committees start forming, for you to actually, benefit more by putting stuff into the community that you help build and you're a part of. And it's a really nice incentive model for the way that maybe life should be. Instead of working your ass off and getting nothing, you can work your ass off to build cool shit and, get back to the community at the same time. Permaculture, man, perpetual growth. All right, let's hit the AMAs before I go weird.
Weird.
Right, the seeds of plantations will always have a power that we don't quite understand. We just have to tap into it. So first one here from Silver Eye. Actually, before we do this, Tuttle, I wanted to ask you a question because I like defining this just in case people missed the last one. But what's the benefit of dropping the DAO tokens on Ethereum for anyone who might be kind of curious about that?
Yeah, I mean, so there are a lot of benefits, right? First, from a structural point of view, it lets us do our voting through snapshot.org, which is a gas-free voting mechanism that's popular with most of the large DAOs. So being in there means that we can look to the other large DAOs for their structure for some of their voting situations. Snapshot has multiple types of voting, so you can set up single choice or ranked choice voting, as well as a few other options. You can set it so that a vote is 1 vote per DAO token. You can also set it if a vote needs to be 1 vote per wallet. You can have that option right in there too. So it's got an awful lot of flexibility for the main voting process. It's also like a lot of the Wyoming DAOs have governance on snapshot.org. So we know that it should be a compliant mechanism for us to have a legal Wyoming DAO running here. So that's also pretty important. Ethereum is also obviously a much bigger liquidity pool than Wax. Like, we love Wax. We think that what Wax is doing is amazing. Like, games on chain on Wax are important. Like, our plots too. Like, selling plots for $100 or $200 over on Ethereum with gas fees, like the overhead does get eaten into it fairly quickly at that. But over on Wax, it's a nice mobile ecosystem. But like Ethereum has huge liquidity pools, especially for tokens. And so having the DAO token on Ethereum means we're likely to have a good amount of liquidity pool action, both like depth of the pool and trading in the pool, which is healthy for the token. Finally, like being on snapshot.org and having, you know, liquidity pools on Ethereum is also an advertising move, right? Like Ethereum has become big in the NFT space, and there's lots of people looking for play to earn as well as for community building and metaverse things, and the Uplift just goes a little bit unheard of over in those spaces. So having things that are Ethereum based to point to and say, hey, look, even if you're not ready to get a land plot right now, you could buy a handful of DAO tokens, get in the Discord, start getting involved, and you know, we can move from there. I guess I'd also say, like, we do plan on bringing worlds and plots to other chains in ways that make sense. One of the reasons we've been pushing for one world, one chain for now is like we want room for worlds on Ethereum to develop their own prices, right? We don't want them to necessarily be directly compared to the price of a plot on Uplift or London because they're different chains. Later on, we could look at bridging assets, but that one world per token allows the people who are on Ethereum to build the kind of value into an NFT collection that they're used to building in. And that can benefit the entire DAO. Obviously, the shares of primary and secondary revenues over on ETH are also going to be great for the DAO and for operational runway. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of reasons for sure.
Yeah, so it's tied, tested, and true. And just to clarify, because somebody always asks this, usually after AMA, no, you will not have to move your wax-based lands to Ethereum. It's not going anywhere. The wax-based lands will stay the wax-based lands. Other lands in the future from other worlds might be on other chains. And the DAO will be on another chain, but there's no connection between the DAO token being on another chain and the wax lands. It'll stay as it is.
And in fact, for now, it'll be pretty strictly enforced that you can't move wax plots over to Ethereum and vice versa. But it doesn't mean the worlds will be disconnected, right? Like we haven't decided, and the DAO will be critically involved in whether we make the first world on Ethereum for like blue chip upgrades, if we want to make that a survival mode or a creative mode world, or if we want to put that into the new cluster. Like there are some pretty important decisions around that sort of thing that we're going to need the DAO involved in, but it can join the existing wax cluster wherever it belongs. And so if you imagine a bunch of people, you know, Bored Apes and Gutter Cats and Cool Cats and all of that on an Ethereum world building, they could still slash server over into London or Uplift to use a shop there and then see all the posters for the wax-based communities. So I think it's going to draw a lot of people into wax in general, not just the Uplift in specific, once they've got that opportunity, because it's a, you know, basically a gas-free bridge in the metaverse from one chain to the other to go explore.
Now, my dear friend Corey Cottrell, how do you feel about not having to choose whether the next world is a creative or a survival world?
So for anyone that was around in the beginning, they know that even this question makes me want to kind of like curl into a ball and start rocking back and forth. The war that we went through, because originally the question was, should the entire Uplift be creative or survival? And the camps were heated. Let's put it that way. I'm so glad we finally were just like, wait a minute, let's do both. Holy crap. Because it was pretty nuts. Yeah, not having to make that call is fun. And really it's a perfect it's a perfect avenue for, you know, the DAO. Like we want it to be what the majority wants anyway, right? Like that's the thing that's going to be, you know, the best for everybody. And, you know, making those kinds of choices moving forward just means we get to kind of crowdsource our own kind of will and the direction we want to take, which is just, I mean, brilliant.
And Jen just joined us. So welcome to the show, Jen. I'm also going to drop a link to a post that she recently wrote about the End Party Planning Committee, which was the first ever kind of like pre-DAO committee that decided, you know, how the party planning event would work. So there's some really interesting insights in there about, you know, things that work, things that didn't, things that could be improved, things that were, you know, better than expected. Definitely check that out if you're interested in DAO governance. And how some of these things will work. We're not quite there yet, but we've already got test cases under the water, both, as Chris said, with other projects that are using it, and also, our own internal kind of, hack together pre-DAO committee. So that's kind of cool.
Totally. And just a quick note on that one too. Smiley has finished collecting the information of the people who are interested in being on the Rules and Bans committee. That name might get changed around a little bit, but on that core committee. And I think we'll be close to sort of putting together the first pre-DAO committee. All those positions will be confirmed or, not through DAO vote once the DAO's up and running, but getting some of these committees going on the sooner side and starting to, roll with it is going to make it a lot easier than doing everything all at once on the same day as the token comes out. So Thanks again, Smiley, for putting this together. And yeah, I know that a lot of observers have put a lot of time into this already, and I can't wait to have them have a little more control in the actual outcomes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dan today was asking in the comments. I know we're doing the thing, but I'm curious about your guys' opinion on this. This is, will us landowner OGs get any land or whitelisted for land on other chains? I mean, I'm pretty sure we won't get any land, but like the idea of whitelisting current land holders to kind of get first dibs is interesting.
No, I mean, I think that's great. And it's a great example of one that could be put to a DAO vote. So, for example, like this blue chip upgrade world idea where we'll select a few Ethereum-based projects that are doing extremely well and give them basically the opportunity to mint one plot per NFT that they have on those projects until that world sells out. That might not be a good world to also offer whitelisting for wax people, because it might be confusing and the world might sell out quite quickly given how many people are allowed to whitelist. But then having the DAO spin up another world on Ethereum more or less right away that also has whitelisting opportunities and a public sale makes an awful lot of sense.
I've been thinking a lot about, because again, like the new maps that we're going to be releasing are 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. The plots are 32 by 32. So just for context, right? We could drop 25 of those worlds, and that would equal 1 Genesis. Just so that people kind of get some context of the kind of new land that we're putting out. Now, one of my goals, and I've been thinking about this nonstop for a week and a half, Ethereum specifically, and Jimmy and I talk about this all the time. We want to do what really, really worked in Genesis, right? We got 50 of the biggest projects in Wax that got community plots and started building and ultimately created a whole bunch of cool stuff that people wanted to be near, right? So I want to do exactly that on a smaller scale for Ethereum, and just get again 32 by 32 plots. I don't think we're going to do big community plots ever again, but have 50 of the best projects on Ethereum on the show, show them what's going on, get them super excited about it, and if they are, and if we decide we want to collab with them, get them some free land, and then do a sale once that is kind of mature enough, which I think might take a very small amount of time, frankly. But then whitelisting on that so that OGs get the first chance to be near some project on Ethereum that looks cool or whatever, I think would make a lot of sense.
Absolutely. Really good point on the land size. It is really important to get that through to people. Like, that's one of the reasons we're happy with finishing up all these current worlds through an auction too, is in some ways it's better if those go to existing community members who can embiggen their existing plots, build some really cool stuff on there, and have these worlds as sort of a permanent foundation. But the future worlds that are coming up that are much smaller can also handle more people, can handle different loads, we can spin them up a little more freely too, because it's not quite so much land. So if we need just a little bit somewhere, it gives us lots of opportunities, and I'm pretty excited about it.
And there are some a very select few of the 250 by 250 plots that will be in the auction, which is exciting. And the other really interesting thing is, right, like you can pick up a small piece of land on another chain, maybe on another chain server, close to spawn. You put up a big billboard that says, come visit my headquarters over on Borvalis or over on Swineland or over on Gratitude.
And in world,
they can jump through the portal. They can, jump through another portal hub. Sorry, like to spawn, they can jump through a portal hub right directly to your plot. I mean, it's going to connect all of these worlds, so it's going to be amazing. And that's something that, in my understanding, no other metaverse really has. There are some other ones that might be doing things with Minecraft, but they don't have that. And we have that ability. Yeah. And there's, other ones. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to say you're right. As far as I know, there is no metaverse project that has land on multiple chains that's interactable through the same server. Like, I might be wrong there, but like it is pretty neat.
Yeah, I agree. I like it. Okay, let's dive into some of these AMA questions. I'm gonna ask the first one here, but I mean, Super Sam already answered it, but I think it's good if we go over it again. If I wanted to open an NFT gallery in the Uplift, what do I have to know concerning copyright? For example, if I own the NFT, am I able to display it? Or do I need permission from the designer of the NFT for an Uplift NFT, for a non-Uplift NFT? Sam's answer was in the chat, if you're allowed to display the NFTs, you can display it in the Uplift. We do respect the DMCA process for takedowns and Minecraft terms of service. We have also discussed having images that might be copyrighted from like motion pictures and movies and things like that not being in there as part of the terms of service. So we are quite careful. I mean, we don't regulate it authoritatively, but we do hope that people, you know, play by normal copywriting rules. If you guys want to add anything to that, maybe Jen, or you know, you're doing a lot of the installs, so maybe you have something to say on that.
I don't have a whole lot to say other than there are links to all of the relevant, terms of services and whatnot on the picture install form. So if you have any questions about what is and isn't allowed, it's covered in there. It's, you know, it doesn't exactly make for exciting reading, but it's there. So my advice would be to just fill out the picture install form, and there are links you can go through and read if you're actually quite concerned about it. General rule is that if you can show it to your friends, you can hang it in the Uplift. So that's what I would keep in mind. And if anybody has any issues with that, you know, anybody in terms of copyright, then obviously we deal with that as it comes up. But so far there haven't been.
All right.
Cool beans.
Okay. Well, Mickey, I just put the AMA for this week's link in the announcements. It will always be in the announcements or on the Twitter feed, although sometimes we're late. Oh, I see. We're a couple weeks behind because we skipped a week. What is the function of the purple fire heart thingy, upliftium degen infused thingy? Ma, what's it?
Didn't we get that question last time?
No, but I think it's been asked a few times. Here, let me just take a quick stab at this one. So we haven't implemented any rewards based on this, but we have had two ideas, and they're in the white paper as well. One is Upliftium hodl gating, and the other is the Upliftium infused wallets. So the Upliftium infused wallets is based on how much Upliftium that account has earned over the lifetime of the wallet, whereas hodl gating would be based on how much is in your wallet at a specific time and won't have an NFT associated with it. Both will likely be similar types of rewards, and we haven't figured out everything we're going to do with it yet. Part of this will be the rewards committee is going to be very important on figuring out which types of distributions we do. If we do NFTs, if we do rewards bonuses, lots of options around it. But those two basic ideas, one, make a lot of Upliftium, and then you're going to get new NFTs and increase the levels as a degen, or hold a lot of Upliftium and you're probably going to get access to specific perks, is worth keeping in the backs of everybody's mind, for sure.
All right. I'm not even going to ask the question. I'm just going to say it. You know, the doc is the doc. He's a real doctor, not a physician, but he's a doctor.
Did we get that? We definitely got that question before.
Yeah. No, he's amazing.
We definitely
brilliant
need to make
person.
Like a doctor lab coat, like
NFT for the doc.
100%. 100%.
The doc's not easy to find, but if you ever find him, he's hidden randomly throughout the internet, and one of the most brilliant people I've ever come in contact with. So
he's great.
Thank
smart.
you. All right. From the 7. Hi, I don't see much of the podcast, but the impression I get is that they tend to be metaverse, NFT, and crypto focused. Please do correct me if I'm wrong. From my initial review of the white paper, our primary customers are Minecraft players. Are you planning to meet with any Minecraft YouTubers to get their views on Minecraft Metaverse matchup Mojang? Let's deal with that one. There's a follow-up question there.
Yeah, so just first with that one, marketing committee is going to be really important on this one. Dr. Wayne even posted today that, it's going to be great to have another exercise where we look at, those ones where you put a fake name to a bunch of different people and you're like, oh, Andy is a Minecraft player. He's got, 1,000 followers on Twitch, but, only plays 3 times a week. What is he interested in the Uplift? And then go through a list of fake names like that and try to demographic out the whole community, including the people that we'd like to reach out to, and then focus resources on reaching those people. It's something we didn't really have the resources to do before, but I think with the DAO, there's going to be a lot of passion towards doing it, so it's going to be a lot easier. I'm not sure if I would agree that Minecraft is our main audience. Like, I think we do have a few different groups of people that we can pull in, but yeah. I think we'd be silly to not court those Minecraft players who are happy to spend tens of hours a day in a private server with no benefits, for sure.
Right. Yeah. So, and it kind of goes with the, Daniel Day asking, are we always going to be a Minecraft server? A couple things to tie those two things together. Jimmy and I would absolutely have Minecraft streamers on the show. I mean, hell, we'd give a Minecraft streamer, a platform on our channel, right? Like that's clearly a huge part about where we're at, right? The survival world is all about, a real, Minecraft economy. It's obviously a massive and vibrant and probably still growing community. We just haven't networked into any people that are doing that yet, right? Like, we're in the NFT space, we're in the crypto space, so those things just kind of come naturally. But I mean, we would have those people on the show all day long. So if anyone has any suggestions or any connections or wants to reach out to anybody and tell them they need to get their butt on the show, do it. Just do it.
Right. Now is extremely good timing too, because I don't know if people are aware, but you don't need to hold DAO tokens to be on a committee. So if people bring in Minecraft players or people with interesting followings that want to be involved at the committee level and the DAO votes them in, they'll be able to have some impact without necessarily, making a large initial investment, which is a great way to bring some of those more passionate people across. Personally, I think guilds and the hardcore survival cluster are going to be the two big things that make the Uplift compelling for a real standard Minecraft player. Hardcore survival cluster is going to be hard and very Minecrafty and very much what they're expecting. And guilds is going to give that level of, management for a group of people so that you can do like nested regions and plots and have people specifically only farmers on your castle, or all sorts of options down that line that are going to, make a lot more sense in our economy, to be completely honest, than in just a private Minecraft server. So I think it'll be a lot more fun to play with those tools here.
Yeah, that's interesting. And as far just on the are we always going to be a Minecraft server? Like, I think these iterations will always exist, right? Like, I don't think we're ever gonna get off Minecraft and it'll be gone forever. But there's always a thought in the back of our minds of how and when will we bootstrap up? But don't think about that in the near term.
But even in the front of the white paper, the way I want to keep this front and center is there's no reason to leave Minecraft, but the thing that is the core of the Uplift are the plots and the neighbors and the worlds. So we'll be building other platforms for sure. The DAO's going to want to do things, either 2D games or browsers or viewers or other stuff. Those platforms will still have the land and the plots and the neighbors that you expect there. If the platform makes sense, we're going to hopefully have the opportunity to bring your build right from Minecraft over there if it's that kind of space. But you may not want to, right? You may want different builds in different games for different purposes, but still having the same neighbors and the same plots and the same worlds, right? So that's what's going to be really enabling down the line.
And actually, for those of you that don't know, it's kind of interesting because this channel is something that Corey and I actually started long before the Uplift was the Uplift. I mean, Corey was doing his thing with, his friends over there on the Minecraft server. And then we had this channel where we were going out and we were talking to communities. And Corey had this idea about, creating the Uplift and then bringing our people that were guests on the show into the Uplift to put up gratitudes on the wall. And that's where it all kind of started, right? So this channel, actually, it used to be called ESIO Weekly. We used to have theme shows like BP and Chill and NFT Game Day and the whole rigor mortar, but it kind of became a really good vantage focus point to be able to draw communities into this metaverse that we were creating. I mean, so always kind of going to be separate, but it's going to be connected. I mean, now we've got Jen doing her awesome show. And I mean, the metaverse is going places, but this channel has history, man. I mean, it is a Tuesday.
Welcome to Tech Talk on a Tuesday, where Corey and Jimmy talk to smart people about tech that is way above their head, but intensely informative, super fun. Sooner or later, somebody's going to make an inappropriate joke. We're definitely going to give away a bunch of NFTs. And quite frankly, we're just going to learn a whole ton. If you have any ideas about who we should have on Tech Talk on a Tuesday, please let us know by adding us in the comments or just finding us, just stalk us down. It's fine. Just talk to us. Tech Talk on a Tuesday.
On a serious note, though, to throw that back, like, we want to involve communities. We want to involve NFT projects. I mean, if there's people out there that are interested in how the DAO is going to work, and, you know, even if they don't have land and they want to come here on the show, I mean, Jen does a great job on her daily morning show. Like, definitely, you know, recommend people. They can be Minecrafters. They can be metaverse people. Corey knows I have this like weird OCD kind of compassion about spinning up weird series names for shows, and we've got way too many already, but we might just do more. There's like gonna be hundreds of them, so it'll be pretty cool. But yeah, we're definitely interested in talking to anybody anytime, and it's not necessarily have to be metaverse related.
Yeah. This is Zestra, actually, just as someone from the beginning watching Evolve has been fascinating. Of course, Zestra is one of the CK7. She was here before we turned the original server into the Uplift. Yeah, actually, I was telling Jimmy this morning, I kind of want to have the CK7 on for an update, because it's been a year and a couple days since our first huddle, which is like, what the fuck? It feels like either 10 minutes or 600 years. I'm not 100% sure which. But I've been thinking about the Cathedral 2.0 and just even the N 1.0, because I've been talking to people about the big why of all this, right? And Minecraft and the gaming part of it and the play to earn part of it's all super huge. But for me, it's tiny compared to the long-term effect of encoding our history into this space that we can share, that we can walk into, that we can revisit. Like going to Cathedral 1.0 and watching a sunrise there, there's almost a weight to all the gratitudes that and I know you were there for a lot of those that we put up during the first part of the pandemic, that became the gratitude practice that's percolated through the entire Uplift now, right? That became kind of one of the cornerstones of the spirit of why we wanted to make this into the kind of metaverse that we are making it into, right? It's a big deal. Yeah. And so Jimmy just posted the article link, G-Kid actually took a bunch of pictures of it. Right. And I built most of that, and just seeing somebody else take pictures of it, like I've taken a bunch of pictures of it. It's pretty cool. But it's been nuts. And I want to think of, I don't know, maybe some kind of special event or something, right? Because we've been putting all of our gratitudes up in the Uplifters Tower for the show and stuff. But I want to do something, long term and very special for that building. So if anyone has any ideas, hit me up, because it definitely wants to. We want to still cover the grounds on the bottom with gratitudes, and I don't know, figure something out.
Yeah, and I guess that's my gratitude for the day. We can throw it up. I know you have something to speak on this as well, Corey, something new that you proposed to the Discord community. But I'm grateful for Tuttle, because like you said, over the weekend, that was our first Tuttle huddle. That was, when Chris came in and took this little thing that we were building by the reins and amplified it 1,000%, just like everyone else on the team. But yeah, thanks for being here, Chris. I know you didn't have to be, and it was a place that you wanted to be, and that to me makes all the difference.
Aw, thanks, Jimmy. It's still a place I want to be. Like I keep telling people, the Uplift is my home, and I'm so excited about turning it into a DAO and making sure it could be everybody's home,
Whoa.
and that it's not just, you know, a team and everybody else. But yeah, it will always be my home.
Sigh. I guess we'll keep working on it then.
Right. So yeah, the follow-up question, how are you actively marketing the land and auction other than Twitter? Well, we're going to be, I think Corey answered that. We're going to be marketing it everywhere. And, you know, please help us if you have any ideas. Bring them on Tech Talk on the Tuesday or any other freaking show. So a question from Mickey. I would like to know how to establish a formal Twitch TV formal partnership featuring Uplift World with daily streams of gameplay. My Starlink satellite has finally arrived up at the North Pole. And I will be able to have a much better internet connection and streaming now. I will be able to confirm this when I return from my business trip in Vancouver. I think, again, we're probably, these types of things are going to be established by the committee when the DAO rolls out.
Yeah, so marketing committee, we're going to hope to do on the sooner side, right? Like they're not going to be involved in getting the land auction going because it's already happening. But like we want the marketing committee spun up before the first snapshot anyway. And so Mickey, like you should consider being on it because that'll be a huge help. But even if you aren't on it, as soon as there is a committee, then there's somebody that you can go to that can then vote and say yes. If you're not looking for a budget, that vote can totally happen at the committee level before we even have the snapshot voting going. If you do need a budget or to be paid or anything, then we need to have DAO voting going so that we can actually allocate funds. But it's a super exciting part of it to me to be able to point to a group of people and say, hey, these are the people that will be able to help you. And if you really want, you could probably join them. So.
Yeah, and I sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's also some roles that we've listed in the white paper. And to everybody in the community, if you see yourself fitting incredibly well in any of those roles, not just on a committee, but in a specific role, pipe up because, like, again, the DAO will vote those roles into place and they're going to be, you know, paid positions to a certain extent. And so, you know, it's a great opportunity if you have those skills.
Yeah, and I would love to see Mickey on it as well. I just dropped another link here, which is basically the highlight reel for our second PvP event that happened in the Coliseum in Genesis, which him and his team, you know, filtered through hours of footage to come up with this really cool video that recapped the whole event. So like people like that doing things like that, I think it would be great for them to be on those committees.
Totally. Well, and let me use this opportunity to tease what we're going to announce ASAP, but we are going to look to leaning on the community for a video about the land auction with all the key details and with as much hype and interest as conceivably possible, probably something under a minute so that it's as digestible as possible as well. Although if you want to cut together more versions of the same video, that's fine. We're going to provide, you know, the details we'd need to see in such a video soon in announcements. It's going to be a short contest. It'll probably only run 48 hours. So like book time if you can to make this video if you've got the skills. And we're looking at giving away like 10 plots or so of land, probably in shards. But possibly if first place wants to pick a couple of lands, we might be able to do that as well. So like, you know, pipe up to if you think one of those structures is better, because we'll get this announcement out on the sooner side. And yeah, having community made videos is so great for the Uplift. It really adds some energy that I know I couldn't bring by myself.
Yeah, and it's always nice to see their perspectives as opposed to ours as well. I'm noticing this at the blog as well. Like when people are writing their own articles or taking their own images, they're using different shaders or they're captioning things in different ways. And so if you have videos that are featured, especially on YouTube, we're more than happy to link them to our channel, right? Like just let us know and we'll promo you guys all day long, because with your videos, that's what you're doing. You're promoting us. And I think that's, you know, a nice kind of trade-off. Next question. Actually, this is a good one. I kind of like it. Will any proceeds of the plot auction be staked to increase the size of the rewards pool temporarily? It has been almost a year since the start. Congratulations. Are you planning on preparing a set of published accounts? So let's tackle the first one. Maybe for a little bit of background, Chris, you can explain, or Corey, what happened to the Wax Rewards pool. We recently did a change up in the way that that's structured and organized.
Yeah, so think about this as a holding pattern for the wax stuff as well. So the rewards pool wax principle is not going to be touched right now. Instead, what we're doing is it's staked to CPU for wax itself, and so it earns some wax in rewards that way. We'll claim that reward amount each week, and we'll distribute those rewards to people instead of touching the principal like we've been doing previously. It's not going to be nearly as much wax to start, but it's a start, and that's one of the reasons we're reaching out and we're doing partner drops as well as the shards, is to try to make things more diversely interesting than just getting wax. This means that the rewards pool principle isn't going to go down either, right? So like, as long as we're getting rewards, we can distribute this way. There will be a rewards committee, and they could make decisions and bring things to DAO votes that might change that down the line, right? Like if they want to start touching the principle again, that's something the DAO could address. But for the meantime, we're definitely in this holding pattern. What the question is saying is, are we going to stake and then use the rewards from our income from the land auction? And I don't think so. The plan is to have fairly separate accounts for all of this. Future sales, once the DAO is up and running, there will be a portion of all sales that goes to the rewards pool and sits there, as well as a portion that goes to an innovation bank of some sort and sits there for, rainy days or big projects. We will be, squirreling it away and saving up. It's not going to all go, directly back into the operations pool. But I don't think we want to get people conditioned to thinking that all the wax and all the wallets is going to yield rewards that go out to the rewards pool. I think it's better to have that separation in place. So any staked rewards like earned in the operations pool would just go back into the operations pool, and similarly. So, and
personally, I like the idea of having a partnership. So like this season, for the first time ever, we're actually having tokens coming from BluDAC that are going to be going out to participants. And I think it's a really good.
And season 6 is Wombat.
Oh, nice. I didn't even know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking all the alpha.
Yeah. We're not messing around. And again, I think that's going to be, I think they might have a token by then, but I think that's going to be more, with, well, they will, right? But it's going to be more with NFTs as well, right? Because we can drop NFTs just as easily as we can drop tokens. See, as example, shards coming out in season 5, which I'm super stoked about it. Like the number of ideas we've had about potential blends and super blends and all sorts of crazy shit that we could do with the shards NFTs just in our channel. It's almost constant. And that's always a clue, right? The second everyone starts having a really, really good idea around a new thing every freaking 10 minutes, it's pretty cool.
Well, and I mean, maybe we should, maybe we're not good at this, Corey. I don't know, but Corey and Jimmy, we don't engage in paid advertising. If Jimmy or Corey are reaching out to you on Twitter, we want to have you on the show because we want you to explain what you're doing for the project, and we hope that you'll empower us within the metaverse and become part of the metaverse yourself, because that's really important to us. So the idea that we can actually have projects that are partnered with us giving tokens to community members as part of our seasons is really exciting to me, right? I mean, I'm not going to get more because I do this show, but I get to see the community that we love, that grew with us together from the start, and that, keeps increasing and amplifying over time, get to become part of a community that gets rewarded in tokens that are part of that community. And to me, I mean, it's like a giant city in the metaverse. I think that made sense, maybe. But yeah, I think it's really exciting. Sorry.
No, it's just, it is. And it's such a win-win-win to have projects hand us NFTs or token and have us use our reward system to give them out to the most actively involved players in the community, right? Like the players then get to know the names of these projects, they get some token in the project and could even participate, or they get some NFTs that they can go ahead and use right away. The project, gets its name out there, and we're providing through that rewards interface that direct value to the community as well. So I'm thrilled about it. There's a lot of staking projects on ETH that, when they run out of token, it just stops and there's nothing else going on. But we're set up so that that's not going to be the situation.
Well, and I think I meant to retweet it, but I definitely posted it from my account. Anders, our good friend over at anyobservation.com, did a 19 message tweet that they actually mentioned the Uplift and a bunch of other projects, metaverse projects on Wax. And, he had some really nice things to say about us and other projects as well. But, You brought up a really good point, right? Like there's a lot of projects out there like us, for example, that are working day in and day out to like bring the best possible experience to the people who are connected to us. And that's not always the case, right? Like we might not always be the biggest hype cycle in town, but I mean, we're flipping here.
Well, and that brings up a really good point, actually. Because like Farmers World is dead, right? Like they're like dead, right? And they're all this, worry about getting botted or whatever. And like I think all these projects, to some extent or another, have bots going on. I'm not going to look into it deeply, but like I think it makes way more sense and was inevitable that it just had the mother of all hype cycles, right? Which I think, and I think most projects that get a decent amount of momentum have like a honeymoon phase, right? We had it; it was fun, and everybody was very, very happy. Those honeymoon phases have a tendency to cool, right? And it cools as quickly as it accelerates, which is exactly what happened with Farmers World, happened with our planet, and I think we're gonna see, and I think they're just dead, right? They're just gonna go away, and that happens with. Probably it'll happen to most of these projects. It's not going to fucking happen to us, right? And I want to shout you out, Tuttle, because I tend to look at all these systems, and of course I'm really concerned with getting us to the point very quickly where like we'll have a fund that can pay the servers for many, many, many years in the future, right? Right now we fucking don't have that at all, right? We can't even pay ourselves yet, which we're going to boot back up to that. And that's again like if you could get your butts to the auction and build your empires and get some DAO token from land, yada, do that, right? But Tuttle, you're constantly, as I'm like throwing crazy psycho ideas at us all the time, which is, a thing. You constantly think about how to build an economy that is going to last, how to build a system that is going to, very likely grow slower, but will never go away. And I'm just really grateful for your instincts on that, because you've seen all these things, as much as I have. And there's a lot of lessons that we can learn from, the hype cycles and getting into that level of excitement. But it's rocket fuel that's kind of like a drug. It has an intense cost, right? If we do things that hypercharge, growth number go uppy stuff, the inevitable result, if we get into too much of a hype cycle, is that will fade and it's going to come down as fast as it goes up, right? And so we're in this really awesome spot where we get to lay foundation after foundation after foundation and build something that's going to last for a long time. And, I know everybody on our team thinks about this to some extent or another, but I think you've been the awesome you've been, I think, herding our thinking in a lot of ways towards that goal. And thank you for that.
Hey, I'm really happy to be a part of all this and to be able to use my experience, because I have been in the space for a while now, and like I still play on ETH really hard, and like I've seen lots of projects succeed, lots of projects fail, and also lots of projects enter into like a year of that cooling phase where you can tell that the team is building, the core community is still there, even if the chats get a little bit quiet, and then they spring back to life with amazing intensity as soon as the development phase is done. And like we're out of that early phase in NFT projects. There's a lot of more established projects. You don't just have to like jump on the next brand new mint and hope that team's going to be successful. You can start doing a lot of that business fundamental research and say, hey, look, is what's being built sustainable? And to me, a DAO and committees and a community of people that want this to be their home is very sustainable and is going to be extremely attractive as people hear about it. So I don't know, we're going to have fun.
Yeah, I agree. Just a couple of comments, actually. So Andre was asking if we need developers. I think there's going to be a process once we hit the DAO for that kind of thing.
Yeah. So a couple of phases. So anyone in the community could have a proposal that comes up that says, hey, look, we want to pay this person either speculatively or after delivery for a specific deliverable. And that's how we can engage a lot of, development talent. There will be opportunities to be on like the operations committee and be involved in sort of some of the more day-to-day development or scripting and things that are needed to make that run a lot better. We definitely need a front-end developer, right? We definitely need a full-time lead front-end developer, and that's one of the roles that's being listed on the white paper. And other roles could be added there as we expand our development capability there. And I don't currently have a developer committee because that's a little too ambitious to assume we'd get that many people together. But if we can, I will, in a heartbeat, suggest that we form up a developer committee that specifically could just be approached and have their time used that way. So short answer, yes.
I mean, I kind of want the Jimmy D committee just so that I can have time to do stuff on other committees, because fuck, I don't have time for that.
This ultimately is why, seeing the energy that's building up and the number of people that are stepping up to want to be part of these things, right? The committees and the different groups, we're not going to be a DAO in name only, right? Like this is actually going to be really funneling all of the massive amount of creative energy that's in our whole ecosystem, even just outside the core team, into actually providing value for everybody, which is going to be kind of magical, frankly.
It's such a good point. Like, I'm so excited for the time that the DAO is actually bigger than any one person's ability to perceive the whole picture, right? Like, yes. I want us all to feel like we can't possibly know what's going on, but I want the structure in place to know that nobody's like hemorrhaging funds or doing something counteractive to the DAO while that's happening. And we'll get there. I really do think so.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting transition. Having sat on a few DACs before, and watching how this is all kind of coming into fruition, I'm personally quite excited about being able to be a part of a variety of committees as opposed to just one, right? And so I think that's something to look forward to, right? Like, there's some really interesting things that are happening on the back end, and I think it's going to be really insightful to see how different committees structure themselves, how they come about, how they work with other people, because it's kind of free and open in that regard, in that sense too. So
just a couple more comments here. Zester asked, have we thought of doing an open house prior to the auction? Have we? And B, shouldn't we?
We haven't thought about it. We should think about it. I think there's another question in there about having the servers publicly accessible. And a lot of us have big concerns about just making the server open to anybody. There are a lot of Minecraft-based griefing groups that go around looking for open servers to do some pretty terrible things too. It's a risky position. What we can do is have a free NFT that it acts as a passport that anyone could claim on Nifty or whatever, and then get in. They'd still have to set up the Wax wallet. Yeah. I think that's okay because I love doing that too. Wax wallet to bid anyway, but yeah, right. Why not open up a passport for this?
Well, then down the road, we could, hey, if you pick up if you have 2 or 3 of these passports, after the event, you could buy a few of them above the market and trade them in for shards.
What? Or you can blend previous passports to get a passport for a special exclusive only 2-year event.
Yeah,
I'll put my huddle hat on just a quick second and say we want to be careful, and the DAO will want to be careful. Any NFTs that we've released for free with an unlimited number, we have to treat differently in our blending cleanup systems than things that have had any gating on. But that doesn't mean that we can't, right? Like, if we make it one claim per wallet on this, then some people are going to maybe make a bunch of wallets in speculation. But
I guess maybe hate down the road. But yeah, I think we never announced it beforehand. We only ever and 6 months later, a year later, we look at hey, where do we have a bunch of NFTs from some of these events? And find some really fun ways to do it. Not all the time or whatever. I think it just could be really cool.
Absolutely. And in no uncertain terms, we intend to use shards as a method of cleaning up old NFTs that don't necessarily have other purposes. That is absolutely a plan. So
for sure. There you go. Yeah. So Daniel, they said, I love that you guys are building sustainability. The value is in the future. This is laying the foundations. The key is marketing. So many good projects are unknown and massively undervalued. I mean, honestly, that's us right now, right? The number of people that don't know that we exist on Wax is something that I honestly take as a total fucking failing of mine personally, right? And it's something that we can have a really awesome effect on in the short term, right? I think Jimmy and I have done, and mostly Jimmy, frankly, has done an awesome job over the last year getting connected with very many of the largest projects on the Wax blockchain. But there's a bunch coming out all the time and I think we can do a better job keeping up with that, right? And if anybody in the community wants to connect us with, cool projects that they see booting up to get them on the show, like that's how we do it, right? I think using this platform that we've built to get it to the point where the all the people that are coming into our ecosystem are able to at least have visibility, understand who we are. I think is just really, really important, right? Like I think at any given point in time, there's about 100,000 active people on Atomic. I think there's about 20 or 30,000 active people on Nefty, and we have like 8,000 people in our Discord, right? So I think there's a huge opportunity there for us in the short term to do that, and then of course going multi-chain or whatever. So anyway, I totally agree with the marketing, but yeah, like building the foundations is clutch, right? I mean, when we start growing, we're actually going to have arguably a lot more to offer than other platforms that are currently in their hype cycles in the metaverse space.
Well, and I love everything that we do, but one thing I love more is people like Daniel Day and other creators in the space that are building games or galleries or just flipping amazing things out there for the world that they kind of need to see. Case in point, coming up right now. So yeah, that right there is the Wise Worlds Gallery, one of the many galleries and experiences that you can have in the Uplift world. So yeah, thank you for being here with us, Daniel. It means a lot. You're always active in the comments, and you always have great things to say. And I mean, what you're building and showcasing in the world is really amazing, actually.
I just want to touch on Sadie's comment about Crispy and Dolomite. I think. And Tuttle, you'll probably have better visibility on this. I mean, we got the rules and bans committee that's going to be handling things in game, and I would imagine there could be some crossover with the Discord if there isn't already. I love the idea of redemption. I mean, for me personally, I mean, the second that you come up in people's DMs, kind of being super cagey and threatening like violence in the real world, you never get to talk to anyone that I know ever again. That was Crispy. Ever again. Like there will be no association. I don't even want to talk to any projects that talk to him, and I'm dead fucking serious about that, because it's just that's some bad fucking energy, and he could put a pretty little face on it, and then 5 seconds later he's being super fucking mental. So that's just my personal opinion, right? But this is where having a committee that is running these kinds of things, I think is already started, and it's just the way that we can do it, and they can develop the systems that we can all feel comfortable with.
Totally. And I mean, this is the thing, is we haven't been banning lightly because it's very difficult to unban at this point too, because this isn't about us. This is going to be about the DAO down the line. The specific instances, especially around Crispy, were taking up a lot of resources and a lot of mental space, and was preventing us from getting to the point that we're at now. And so I don't think, like, as a team, we'd be looking at letting somebody back in when there's been such flip-flopping around their behavior still before the land auction at the very least. But once the rules and bans committee is up and running, once we know how that's going to handle Discord versus in-game stuff, once there's a process by which, like, I would assume evidence can be submitted, I'm all for redemption, and I hate the idea of anybody being sort of permanently blacklisted from even from a few weeks of behavior. And if I can speak on that, like, a lot of us on the team, some of us on the team, we gave the benefit of the doubt more than once.
Too many times, in my humble opinion.
right? And so like this isn't just something that like we're taking lightly. Like
Yeah.
Tuttle
No, I
said,
mean,
right?
everybody on the team, who isn't me, because I tend to be pretty ruthless with this shit. Like when people show you who they are, I tend to believe them, right? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. And I want to work with, the people on this team. They show up every single day with fire, right? And positivity and kindness and gratitude. And it's real, super freaking genuine. And wanting to collaborate in a way that makes everybody wants to show up to work in the morning, right? I want way more of those people around. And if people don't want to be that way, instantaneously they're off my list, right? And this is just for me personally, right? So I do have that tendency towards it. Makes way more sense to just cut those people out of certainly of my life than waste any time on it. And we wasted hours and hours and hours on these questions. And so I do think, again, redemption being, really important, having this in a committee that is spending a lot of time and energy, on that and on creating systems so that it's possible for, especially if there's a mistake or, if somebody was genuinely having a bad hour, because it's happened before, right? Where, there can be a pathway to, earning a spot, frankly, back on this, because people shouldn't just assume that you get to be here, because this working on the Uplift, in my obviously humble opinion, is it's an extremely powerful opportunity. And, people aren't entitled to that, right? You don't just get to be here. You definitely don't. You're not entitled to our time. And the rest of the time of the people that are diligently working on and bringing value to this. So again, like I think those committees are going to have that power to do that. And again, Sadie, if you want to be, part of that, sign up and help be part of that.
It's interesting because I actually had somebody, I think that we banned a few, like 8-10 months ago, for something, reach out to me just to say hello today, which was really bizarre. And I was like one of the people on the team that said, I didn't actually agree with the reason that this person was banned, and we won't rehash that. We don't need to rehash that. But things went around and he proved himself, and he ended up, getting plots back in the game and coming in and doing right for his doing right for his image and his reputation. And we never had another problem with him again. Right. And I think it's a very good carrot and stick scenario. We can beat people with a stick all day long, but unless they like fucking carrots, I don't really want them here either.
Yeah, I don't want to use sticks. I want to use exclusion. And that's it. Just because time, right? It's just a time function. And, I work with, everybody on our core team, and so many people, Andre and Zestra and Daniel, like so many people are just genius level creators and builders in this space, and so many across so many different vectors. Every millisecond we spend in any kind of negativity is physically painful to me, because I know what we're missing when we do that. Right. I know the cost of that. The cost is we're not talking about a brand new magical freaking thing that we can do in the metaverse that no one's ever seen before. And that just is viscerally painful. Right. But again, we do need a system around that, and we'll do it. So anyway, Sadie, thanks for asking the question. I definitely want to make sure that we're super transparent around all this stuff.
And I like what Chris said, because when we have this, these committee structures set up, like basically everyone can just be redirected to the customer service area of the store, instead of taking time out of our lives who are building and doing things in the sports department or electronics department or whatever cool, amazing Uplift World things that we happen to be doing, which is quite nice. It's going to streamline a lot of the decisions that we have to make, and give ourselves as a team and the people who are on the various committees more time to deal specifically with the things that they're good at or that they want to deal with, which is quite nice. And I'm pretty sure that you don't really like dealing with banning people, Corey. So
no. And honestly, I'm the last person probably who should be in charge of that, right? Because I would legitimately ban 1% of the uplift every month if left to my own devices.
Right. And I mean,
right? Which is insane. No one, it's a terrible idea. But yeah, focus on the 20%, not the other 80%. And this is like there's like the Pareto rule or whatever it is, right? And for us, it's so much more flipped. like 99% of the people that are connected to, playing with, or building in the Uplift are freaking badass, unbelievably fantastic human beings. It's literally less than 1% all the time that account for just a shocking amount of our energy and time dealing with negativity, right? So my instantaneous rule is, and honestly, I would stand by this, like just rapid banning anyone who just seems like you wouldn't want to go to work with them in the morning would work. Now, I am a deep minority on our team, and maybe that's great, right? It just, and again, like they probably wouldn't even let me anywhere near that committee, and that's probably fine. I don't want to be in the committee. But it's just, like building up this ecosystem, because we're going to grow, right? We're going to be 10 times bigger than we are right now. We're probably going to be 100 times bigger, like 100 times more people than we have right now in the Uplift. I don't know how long that's going to take, and I don't care, but that's going to happen, right? And so developing the systems so that we can constantly work on and cultivate creating the kind of community that we're all going to be really proud of, that will ultimately end up being a super fantastic legacy for generations, potentially. I think that's it's going to be an important part of the work.
Cool. So we got a few more things to fly through. I'd really like to finish this up. I hope that everyone who's on the call can do this, because I don't want to leave questions unanswered in the AMA.
We can get them.
But it has been almost a year since the start. Congratulations. Thank you, the 7. Are you planning on preparing a set of published accounts? I actually don't really know what you mean by this question. Maybe somebody else.
I'm guessing this is like a memoir of the last year, right? Like we have quite the history at this point. Like my original Tuttle Huddle agenda documents, like 10,000 words. And yeah, maybe taking something like that and, publicizing it.
Those type of accounts. See, I'm too in the blockchain space. I'm thinking money, blockchain accounts, things you have to register for, keep your keys. You mean like accounting of the history. If that's what you mean, then
I do the DAO's finances are going to be hyper transparent.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just don't think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm with Tuttle now that she shared that perspective. I mean, I don't know what we can publish from before, but we definitely can publish on this.
I think we could find a way, to be honest. I think there's a middle ground there where we can explain everything that went on from our point of view in a fun, like this is, the world formation, when our rewards rolled out, what our player counts were like, show a few map screenshots, like just build a nice history.
Like a history I'd love to actually see a committee around that.
Right? Like that's the one that I should.
Well, and the creative committee is probably great for that too, right? Because they're about developing lore as well. And so history and lore and connecting all that together. Yeah.
That ends up being a tour of the builds too, which is really fun. I remember we used to talk about like taking screenshots of the maps and 3D maps, longitudinally over time or whatever, which is something that we sort of never could pull the time around to do. But could you imagine like watching the 3D Genesis map grow in real time, or not in real time, but like in like a high speed or whatever?
Dude, we've got videos on the back end, and we're running short of time because I played too many already. But we've got videos on the back end of Uplifters Tower before the Tuttle building was even built, right? Right?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like anybody could go back and take screenshots or even video clips of those builds, because I built most of it live while we were on air, so that's fun.
And I get as well. I mean, one of the best ways that we can detail the history of this place is to have your stuff up on the blog. And the blog right now is 98% me. And I can't flip and keep up. So if you guys want to detail your own builds, or I got this great message in Discord today from someone who was like, hey, G-Kid actually, who was like, hey, you seem to like the photos of the, I shared the link earlier up in the stream, of the cathedral, and I just really like what you guys are doing, and I just decided that I'm going to fly around, every day before I go to bed, and I'm going to snap some shots about something, and I'll send them to you. My apologies if I'm overloading. Not at all, man. If you guys snap photos and you put a little thing about like where the coordinates are, and you say like, I flew over this the other day, and like these are some really cool photos of the Uplift, that's the easiest thing that we can put on the blog. I can put 30 of those up in a week.
Do you have the form set up for people to sorry if you said this already, the form setup for people to kind of put
Yeah,
stuff
so
in?
I'm working on a new post now that details 10 different kinds of posts that we do, and I'm linking them all to various forms. So people will be able to go in there. They'll be able
Awesome.
to do project blogs where they answer all of the questions in the Uplifters Builders series, or just short posts with images and captions, or shameless plugs of uplifting proportions where they show their own builds. I'll still run my regular blogs, but there's about 10 different ones in there that people will be able to plug into. So this will be a big part of that, right?
Can you add in like my favorite new project or my favorite project on Wax, just so we could start? That might be interesting, right? As far as like having people being able to submit stuff for projects in the space. And again, like, not that we would be endorsing, because I don't think we're gonna do any deep dives on any of these things, but
yeah. So I think maybe the one series that we just kind of spun up that looks at kind of other projects or things that other people are doing, the perspectives of that, like, that's a possibility. We maybe have to be a little bit careful about what we endorse and do our research. But I mean, if you want to detail a project that isn't a clear shill, that actually has merit, that's connected. Let me take that back, right? If you're building in the Uplift, I will promote your project all day long. If you just want to shill, go buy this here, then I'm not going to put it on the blog. Right, like that's kind of where I'm at. But definitely,
well, that's
like,
have some right, have some land, start a build, and that's interesting for sure.
However, like reputable projects in the space, we're more than happy to do a carbon copy or promote them. Nifty Blocks, Atomic Hub, NFT Insider, all of these projects who are doing their things. Like, if they want to submit to where we hide all the alpha.com, then we're more than willing to do that. But buy this NFT, number go uppy and sell before everyone else, so you make a fortune. I'm not into that, and I don't think I'll ever be. Corey knows more than any.
That makes sense. I think there's a lot of fatigue around that, especially in our little corner of the ecosystem. So that's good.
All right, so back to, again, these questions were answered, but how much is it possible investment for me to start playing the game? The startup cost. If the game requires me to buy a team, how much is my investment? Question 2, let's deal with question 1. And the easy answer is, I mean, if you know somebody who has a plot in the Uplift and you have a good communication with them, then you can get whitelisted their plot and you can start building and you can start earning rewards in, whatever we happen to be giving out that month. I mean, if you want to buy land, then and have the ability to own that land and get the landowner rewards as well, then just go to Nifty Blocks or Atomic Hub. Again, there's another post coming out that's detailing the WaxCloud wallet that will kind of showcase how to do that in the next day or two. But just go there and search for the lowest price land. But you don't necessarily have to.
I bought a bundle yesterday. And again, like, everybody needs Minecraft Java, right? Which is like, $25 or $20, whatever it is now. But I bought a bundle with a piece of land in it and 100 common miners for $50 yesterday. Nice. I was like, and TC keeps yelling about the uplifting miners because they're way underpriced right now, which I agree. Everyone should ignore that so I can go buy some more. But yeah, I mean, you can go just buy the cheapest piece of land, find it in one of the worlds, and you're off to the races. And I think, again, like, I got an insane deal yesterday. And I think those are going to be around for a little while yet.
So the second question, what is the possible average hours you can grind in this game for a day? Like, I don't know. Ask people who are grinding. I'm grinding way too much. I was walking in the park today. I mean, I love Corey because Corey does it in a really nice way. But Corey says to me in a DM, he's like, dude, I don't even think it was a DM. It was a Twitter message. I haven't checked. I just got the notification popping up on my thing. And it's like, dude, you're going to be so busy this week. I mean, if you scroll back in the Discord and you look at the photos that I took when I actually had an hour out of the house today, that's what I want to be doing, looking at cherry blossoms. But yeah, I don't know what the grinders do. Talk to the grinders. Cheese and bacon. Those are the best grinders. What is the average token you can earn in a day? Again, I don't think we're playing it by daily use. I don't think that we're playing it by daily standards. We do it in seasons. The seasons are a set period and they're not necessarily set to what you do. They're set to what you do in comparison to what other people are doing. So rewards will go out based on those dynamics, right? Like we've had people come in the past that say, "Oh, I played way more this time, but I got way less." And it's like, well, sorry, but like there's more people playing actually.
Right.
Like,
and it's designed to be variable, right? Like it's
Right.
in a pool, the number of people playing has a direct impact on it. And again, like seasonally, like we change up constantly how you kind of get points, whether it's like walking around or whether it's like mining a freaking pumpkin or whatever it is. Like we get pretty creative on that. The best way to optimize, and this is like our priority, is to make this true. The best way to optimize is to stop optimizing and just play, right? Like we want to give that the best overall chance to earn in our system over time.
And if this is interesting to you, the rewards committee is going to be responsible for changing what activities are tracked, adjusting caps, adjusting when caps kick in, bringing in new systems. Like if there's a quest system that people want, that would be a rewards committee sort of activity.
Mhm.
So if you join the rewards committee, you no longer can participate in the active rewards, but the plan is to give you an average either of what you've been making or what everybody is making in rewards. So you won't be like significantly hindered. Also, committee chairs and probably entire committees are going to be paid at some point here. So like, you know, it's an interesting trade-off.
Right.
And then you'll have access to all the rewards data, and you guys will be able to work together to try to make this system as good as possible and add as much to it as makes sense. So.
Yeah, and the last thing that we want is an extraction economy. I mean, we're in the blockchain space because we want to enable and empower people. And I mean, when you get to an extraction economy, it doesn't really work for the metaverse. So if we just tell you the best way to do it, then everyone's going to do it. Everyone's going to exploit the system. Everyone's going to pull the, things that they can out of it. And that's not what we want. We want people to be engaged, and we want to, reward the engaged users, not just anyone who wants to take a payday by riding the rails 24/7. I mean, you can ride the rails 24/7. You can look at really cool stuff and you'll get some rewards, but that's not going to be your maximization potential, as Corey kind of pointed out. So also in the AMA bans, Cowie also responded to it, and he dropped a link in there. We're almost done. JROB, is there a chance that in the future the servers will be accessible to visitors that are not running Minecraft? I'm imagining if there were view-only versions, each map accessible via a DApp or similar.
Yes.
So
we want this very badly. We've already looked at potential opportunities to have builds exported so that you could sort of have a browser where you could tab through and see different builds that have been registered there and fly around in those builds without an avatar. There's other stuff that we can look into. That's part of if we had things on other platforms as well where you could export your builds. Those could be more browser accessible. I think it would be against Minecraft's terms of services to provide like a portal into the current worlds to anyone with a browser, because you need the game, you need to have their terms of service. So this will have to be an expansion of, as opposed to a replacement for using the launcher. But yes.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot. Now, again, just to set expectations, near term, just no. Like it's like we've got I doubt we'll spend any time on that over the next 6 months. And again, like I think, and I think you can speak to this, like we go look at the white paper. We've got a gazillion things that we can focus our time on that are brilliant ideas that we know are going to work. And we have a reasonable certainty that we can get it, get them built out, right? Again, no, guarantees, because who freaking knows? But like reasonable certainty is sort of what was our benchmark for adding them.
Yeah, and like all those things on the white paper, like that's most of it. Right. And voting towards prioritizing that is going to be a really important part of the DAO, right? Like maybe everybody in the DAO feels differently, and everybody wants the browser-based experience over, new reward system stuff, over the punch sign get thing interface, over guilds. Like if that turns out to be overwhelmingly true, then resources can be reallocated. But personally, I don't predict that. I predict a lot of interest in guilds, a lot of interest in the new survival cluster, a lot of interest in the punch sign get thing, self-hosted setup so that you can just register that on enter.theuplift. I think that's going to be pretty important to people.
Yeah.
And yes,
100%.
before any of you comment in the questions AMA thread, it actually is called punch sign get thing. This is what we've
it's a
named
technical
it.
term, and it's never going away.
I also want to say too, like I've been playing around to Corey's pleasurable detriment. I'm not really sure if that's a good way to say it. With how do we showcase the Uplift world and other metaverses? Because like the metaverse is different for different projects, and there's some really interesting capacities to speak on what Tuttle was saying earlier about like exporting 3D builds or putting up QR codes with images to the blog or pictures of your build, and that's a really good leeway into getting people to come in and get interested in what they can do, right? And so going back to the previous question, we've kind of maybe got a mix. I'm not really sure what it would be. Maybe it's almost 50-50 or 40-60 of players who have played Minecraft before the Uplift and players who haven't. And so that's a really interesting dynamic, right? Like there's going to be a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't really feel like playing Minecraft, but if they might see this in a different format, it might actually hold their interest long enough to know that they can do that. So these are all kind of ideas in the works, but to get the full experience, you'll always have to come in to the Uplift world and wander around, right? Like those videos that Corey and I show on these channels, that I think, shout out to Gary for putting most of these together, like they're only gonna be experienced in the world yourself. These completely, entirely immersive experiences that showcase the art, that showcase the capacities of Minecraft as they exist today, they're only going to be there, right? Like the punch sign get thing, it's only going to be there. You're not going to be able to do that through a 2D experience that is displayed somewhere else. I mean, again, the NFTs could potentially be mapped to somewhere else, but right now that's kind of, as Corey said, where our focus is, right? Next. My Uplift keys were stolen out of my wallet. Is there any way of getting them back? On the map, it still says I own them. So I can talk about this as well. And this is kind of a disclaimer, not really, but like a safety type of thing that I put in the article that should be released in the next couple of days. We're doing a series feature of articles on how to get a Wax account, and I want to expand that to all of the other blockchains that we happen to do in the future. But I mean, one of the beauties of blockchain, let's just sidetrack the Corey and Jimmy private chats, because that's not always true. But one of the beauties of blockchain is whatever's in your wallet you own. Those assets are things that you own. Those assets are things that you control, right? Like your proprietary property exists in that wallet. So you have to be really careful, right? Like you can't be clicking spam links, or you can't be giving out details to that wallet, or storing them, in Google documents on clouds that people could potentially hack. And so if your wallet gets compromised, there's very little that the Wax Cloud wallet company can do. And unfortunately, we can't reissue those NFTs. That's not really within our capacity, right? Like we can't cancel those NFTs, and we can't do it. So if your Wax Cloud wallet got stolen, there are things that you can do to minimize the impact, but you're really going to have to be careful. Hi, Sam.
Oh, jeez.
That's usually my job to have that, but you're really going to have to be careful about it, because if this kind of stuff happens, it's unfortunate, but that's the blockchain space, unfortunately. Yeah. Corey, I mean, you've been in it for a while. Tuttle, you've been in it for a while. Super Sam, Jen, you guys have been in it for a while. Maybe you can comment on that as well.
So what I wanted to say on that is, like, you're right about the NFT style. There are different ways that different projects have handled this sort of thing, right? Like OpenSea bans stolen NFTs from being sold or bought on their platform, even though you could still do it through contract. Axie Infinity, because they control the game, will ban Axies for lots of different reasons, at which point they can't be used on the store or in game. And so even though they're NFTs, you can still control what interacts with your services. We've always maintained a pretty strong point of their ownership and we're not going to reissue them. And I don't think the team would ever change that. But again, if the DAO wants to look into something, they can. They just have to be aware of all the consequences around making decisions like this. Like if I were to suggest something here, I would say we don't do it for current worlds. But if the DAO wanted to, for future worlds, we could have land tax, just like they do in the real world. And if you don't pay your taxes on each plot, then that plot could be resold to somebody else with a secondary deed. And if you ever come back, you could maybe buy out that secondary deed or pay your back taxes or have a way of getting reaccess to that plot. Or it might be once you're kicked out, that NFT is just invalid. But that's stuff the DAO should explore from a very, like, from the fundamentals and see if that's something they want, because Axie Infinity gets flack all the time for their decisions around bans this way. And I don't know where the DAO really wants to sit.
Well, and I think there's a very big differentiation between us being able to ban access and them getting that land access NFT key back, right? And so that's kind of where I was going with the question. But again, like, that's a really interesting concept. I had never actually thought about that. The fact that, the land tax access. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
Well, and
world.
yeah, and I think this is something Atomic Hub doesn't like projects doing, but like projects with smart contract notifications on can block the transfer of NFTs in that collection. And so, like, in theory, the DAO could vote, hey, this person stole a bunch of lands. Let's block them from being transferred out of this person's wallet. Let's reissue NFTs to the person who had their lands stolen.
Right.
But like that opens up all sorts of things.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Like that's
as
like
a team.
Yeah. I don't want the legal exposure of being responsible for that and fucking it up.
Exactly. Right. And I don't think the DAO will either once they've had time to really think about it as a group. It's just, I know it's so sad when you see somebody get their land stolen, and when you know that in theory we could issue a new NFT and give them access to that land, like, you want to be sympathetic and try to push a button like that, but it would cause so many problems to just do so.
Yeah, it's
there
for sure.
And there was a case in our servers or in the DM somewhere that I recall that, like, somebody's Wax Cloud wallet got compromised, and they did report it to Wax, and they did end up somehow getting their land back, but that wasn't on us. That was totally on the Wax side of things. So you can always reach out and contact them as well. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Right? Hey, I just popped on to Alcor, and the Farmers World token is up 1,000%.
Jesus.
Farmers World. Oh, that was random.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on with that. Yeah, I just popped Alcor up, and I'm like, what the frick? Because they dominated the top end for a long time.
Yeah, TC's just messing with you. He's like, Corey said Farmers World is dead. I'm gonna buy a shit ton of it and just
Hey, we gotta let Steve off the hook. So Steve just said I invested like a year ago in Lens and Rail on a sale. Didn't have time to follow what's going on. Do I need to pay taxes on them? Absolutely not. We're not doing that. Like, this is a proposal of something that we're moving to a DAO. Geez, Steve, I gotta do another update thing. There's actually, we should probably repost the update article that we did that I wrote a few months ago. It's on my sort of, I got my thinking cap on to do another one because around this transition and kind of bringing everyone up to speed. Like, if you seriously haven't been here for 6 months, like, holy shit, what the hell's going on? Because it's been a lot. It's been a busy couple months. But you definitely don't have to pay taxes on any of that stuff.
And if you don't know
Steve, you're probably right.
Who Super Sam is, she's responsible for most of the one pagers that we put together and those really cool purpley dynamics that she throws out there.
Someone just asked who I was. Is that
What's that?
Did someone just ask who I was, or are you just?
No, I'm just throwing it out there because you haven't been here in a while. I mean, I
haven't been here in a hot second. Been doing some crazy fieldwork stuff, and that is done. So here I am.
I kind of want to go do field work just because I want to go hang out in the fields with the cherry blossoms. But hey,
that's fun.
Let's go back to J Rob. It's funny how we read things. I'm really enjoying the game, but ultimately I see greater value for myself by using the space to drive people to see other projects, whether they are in the metaverse or outside of it. J Rob, that's the only reason I'm here is because of that. Kind of like 3D immersive version of social media. TC, says every single episode that we do that, like, you know, the Uplift and metaverses are potentially the next, you know, social media. In considering the upcoming land auction, I'd like to know if there is potential for exposure and access to people outside of the gaming and NFT communities. I would say that our focus is right now on exposure of our projects within the communities that we're interacting with. But I would say it's only been a year, and I'm pretty optimistic about the fact that, like, this is going to take on legs that maybe we can't even control. Like Tuttle said, like, when the DAO takes over the reins, like, there's going to be things that, like, us media people and you know, organizers who kind of built this from the ground up aren't even going to get. But like Jen, Sam, and potentially even Tuttle and Corey, like, go ahead, because you guys are just as much in the media as me.
Indeed. All right. Sam, I didn't say this yet. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
What do we have left?
What do
Monster
we got?
AMA. I freaking love having you guys on to do these AMAs, by the way. Like, just,
we've got I don't know, maybe 10 questions left. I think.
Okay. Rock and roll.
I think it would be great if one day I could share the link with someone and they could log in with just a username and password and spawn straight to wherever I send them to a full spectator mode without having to install Minecraft. I hope this makes sense. It doesn't make sense. You need Minecraft Java. But
hold on. This actually goes back to the last question, or a question a few of them ago, right? Where you don't having a spot where we can do a browser-based situation where we can upload a build and they can go automatically to that in spectator mode just means you're flying through it. That's something that is technically possible and is something that we're eventually going to spend some time on making happen.
Yes,
right? So,
in the future, right?
Right. It's not going to have that full game experience. Tuttle brought up a really good point about the fact that we can't bootstrap like a 1-for-1 copy. Minecraft probably gets I'm pretty sure there's actually something in the EULA about that, but taking a specific build, right? So you want to beam right to that spot. So like the Vine gallery or something, like you want people to just be able to go to the Vine gallery to go and see all the NFTs that are in there, and you know maybe click on buttons to buy stuff or whatever. Like all of that stuff I think is possible. We're just gonna have to do it on a bit of a build by build, it's got to be different enough, I would imagine, but it's something we're looking at.
Cool. And sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I didn't have anything more to add.
Oh, sorry. I thought you might have. All right, Corey, I think this one's for you. Maybe peoples. Is there any update on the BayYC connection to Uplift? They have now announced their other side land concept, which looks pretty cool, but it's hard to see the connection into Uplift. Maybe two different things, but would love to hear more.
With Bored Ape, yeah, I mean that they're doing a bunch of metaverse stuff. We're talking about doing, and again, like we're talking about doing this with a few different potential blue chip, projects like that on Ethereum, right? I think Bored Ape is just a really fun possibility. I think NFT Worlds is a group is using NFT Worlds to do the same kind of thing, right? So I think this is going to be a genre. We called it before people started doing it, and we've just had to take some time reorganizing to get there. So we're not associated with anything they're doing on that side. I think that what we're doing can bring way more than enough value that Bored Apes are going to be super interested to take us up on it, because there's going to be a lot fewer pieces of land to grab in this new map than there are Bored Apes out there. So
I was kind of thinking and reflecting back on a question I think it was asked a few minutes ago about like expansion and expanding to people in the gaming world and also outside of it. And I'm kind of thinking about what stage we're at now and how we're kind of in this stage of like massive expansion in the world where we have all these plots that we're ready to like build up. And eventually I think we're going to be at a stage where a lot of our worlds look like Genesis, where there are plots all over the map that are very built up. And I think there are very different levels of like gaming experiences that people want. And I think we're in the level right now where a lot of people really want to be building and like creating things inside the game. And once we get to the point where we have so many different experiences all over all of the maps, then I think we can move beyond that and kind of bring in all of the people who maybe don't want to build, but maybe want to spend all of their time roaming the maps and kind of seeing what the worlds have to offer. So I was kind of thinking about those different levels of people that might want to join the Uplift, and when the best time is to kind of bring people in. I don't know if anyone else had any thoughts on that. It was just a good question people asked a little bit ago, and I feel like we didn't really talk about it a lot, but I had a little bit of a thought on it.
Yeah.
All right, maybe like two more. Questions about the maps. I noticed that the world map updates the time in real time for Borvalis and others, but is stuck at 9:02 a.m. in Swineland as well. A property I made changes to last week in Northwest Swineland has not been updated at the map at all yet. A property I worked on in Swineland for that has been updated to reflect the changes for a few days. Is there a reason for this? Different maps do update at different times. I mean, Genesis was stuck at like 5 months ago for 5 months, but now we've got it updated again. So I think the dynamics behind that are map centric. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest. We absolutely hate DinMap, the plugin that we're using. Like, it's got valuable features and we're really glad to be offering the maps, but it's a bit of a resource hog. It has issues. And so we halted it on the busy maps. I'm not totally sure why it wouldn't be updating on Swineland, and I'll check on that. But it's also got thresholds of like total TPS and stuff below which it stops updating. So a maps plugin rewrite that includes things like being able to easily put your own shop and other icons up on our map is on the white paper and is something that we would love to be able to do.
Last one, shout out to Frame Games and Tiny Miss T for the shop list. If you haven't checked it out, definitely go check it out. But they're asking, in regards to auto farming, are hoppers allowed to feed charcoal and other fuel into furnaces? You would still have to manually add or remove your contents. Just curious. Thanks. In regards, Jen actually posted a banned uses of hoppers, but if you want, maybe Jen, maybe you can expand upon our dynamics for using hoppers and what's allowed and what's not.
Absolutely. It's actually very straightforward. If anything is automated, the answer is no. Or one button push or lever pull per action. So if you do want to automate something, it has to be switched with a button or a lever or a pressure plate or some other control, so that it can only be activated for one cycle, and it can only act on one item or block. So unfortunately, that means that we can't use the hoppers for things like feeding charcoal into a furnace. It has to be done manually, unless you have some sort of like a button to do it with, but that seems kind of pointless at that point. I don't know. I think it seems kind of pointless at that point. Yeah, it is that straightforward.
Again, I mean, I'm looking at this from a non-Minecrafter perspective, as the person who got banned for breaking a chest and destroying all the signs the first day I was ever in the cathedral. But it's not Minecraft, but it's not Minecraft, right? Like, we're looking at economies, we're looking at ways to engage communities. So, if you want traditional Minecraft, there are plenty of other servers that allow you to go and do those things, right? If you want to grief people, go over there and grief them. But if you want to, build this really interesting metaverse ecosystem that we have that plugs into NFTs and economies and gives you land development ownership and allows you to showcase your builds and potentially even, sell what you've built on the open market, and make a business out of it, then this is kind of the place for you. And again, when these committees come in, as Chris has mentioned multiple times on the stream, things and regulations and rules will be up for debate a lot more than they are now. So that's really exciting. But as for now, we're basically the last year been bootstrapping this into existence the best that we possibly can, and those are our rules. And so yeah, I mean, we're just trying to protect the economy and protect oversaturation and do, as somebody pointed out in the Discord comments, do the best that we can to keep this whole thing running and operational and the most rewarding for the most optimized rewards for the most people that are out there in the abyss that have, you know, been with us from the start. Definitely check the announcements channel in the Discord. I know there was a internal team chat yesterday that we were all super excited about when we get to release the thing that's happening on the 4th with the new odds and ends land sale, because this is going to be like a first time that we've actually really done this, that we've actually opened up the coffers that we hold on the back end to allow people to buy those adjacent plots. It's never been done before. It's always been like structured little piece sales, and this is the first time where you're going to get to go in and you're going to be able to build an estate that wasn't sold as an estate, right? And I urge you all to go back to the beginning of the video where we talked about this a little bit more. But
Good talk. All right.
that's it. We're done.
Booyah.
But
Right.
yeah, like we're totally done. Does anyone on the stream have anything else that they want to shout out before we let you all go? Sam, if you got a couple minutes after, let's have a chat. Just yummy. Anyone else?
Nope.
All righty then.